The Golden Knights are halfway to a Stanley Cup title. The VGK juggernaut, as the Panthers' Matthew Tkachuk called them, routed the Cats last night 7-2. The series now shifting to Sunrise, Florida for games 3 and 4. Can the Panthers turn this series around, or will VGK return to Vegas next Sunday with possession of the Stanley Cup?
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. I'm Tony Cardasco, along with Chris Golick. We heard you leading the fans last night. My own worst enemy. We heard you. We heard you singing, man. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We appreciate you doing that. You find us wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on our Twitter account at LockedOnVGK, at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G, and subscribe on our YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. So VGK now with a very sound 2-0 series lead. They have made it look easy in each of the first two games. 12 goals, Chris. That ties a 41-year record set by the 1982 New York Islanders through two games. Amazing. This was a team that we talked about having issues with scoring in the playoffs historically, although it's a small sample size, just through the first 5 years. But again, for VGK, they get a team effort. So 2 goals for the former Panther, Jonathan Marchessault, of the Breakfast Club line. And then, of course, hashtag born to haunt, not born to hunt. and then we also saw Brett Howden of the Brett Howden line with a couple of goals. And the tone again set early. 29 saves by Aiden Hill. And in the game, early on, he stops that breakaway by Carter Verhaeghe, who goes with the backhand. And then back in a few minutes later time, we see Marchessault scoring that first goal. And then it opens up the floodgates.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying just to condense everything there. And I think I'll start with one of my tweets last night. You have your horses, right? They get their first couple races. It's their maiden claimer races. They're in like the 9th race of a card in a track that there's like 12 people watching, and the entire pool is like 12K or something like that. Tony, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
And only myself and Shea Theodore's girlfriend were still there.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No one was there. Definitely not a lot of people. They all left early. And then horse might win a race or two, and the next thing they're in a stakes race, and possibly trying to get up to do the Derby or something like that. Well, this is the Derby right now, and the Florida Panthers through two games, haven't lost at home yet, so we're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves, but through 2 games, they are not in the same weight class as the Golden Knights, and for whatever reason that may be. You start with Matt Tkachuk. He can't finish the game on the ice, Tony. He cannot finish a game on the ice. He's certainly on pace, if he hasn't already set the record for most 10-minute misconducts in a Stanley Cup Final, at least by a Tkachuk.
Yeah, for sure. And we have to talk. You mentioned Matt Tkachuk. He does have a goal last night in the game, a goal that caught VGK off guard because they were going over to the faceoff circle there in the defensive zone.
It was weird. Like you heard I think what threw everyone off, the refs normally, like once you get out of like basically rec and house and travel league, like to juniors and stuff, the refs don't blow a whistle when there's a goal because there's usually enough hoopla and fanfare happening. And you saw the ref point, but it came in and out so fast, and you heard the whistle, and the whistle is what threw everyone off. And then Matt Tkachuk, I think he got thrown out right after that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he sure did. And let's talk, as you mentioned, Matt Tkachuk, about the big hit on Jack Eichel. Eichel said he was okay.
Great hit.
We saw that he was off balance. Fans, that was not a dirty hit.
No, definitely not.
It was actually and Eichel himself admitted afterwards, he was gassed a little bit towards the end of his shift. He got caught up off balance, and then he saw it last second, luckily, so he braced himself a little bit. He said he didn't want to lay down on the ice. Come on, Jack, he deserves some camera time. Just stay there.
Well, listen,
and then he goes in the tunnel.
You don't want Jack. I mean, if he can get off the ice, get off the ice. It took enough energy out of the arena. I mean, the game was what, 4-2 or 5. The game was in hand pretty much at that point already. And I don't know, it might have been like 4-0 or something. Whatever the score was that time, it's irrelevant. But it sucked a lot of energy out of the arena during the intermission, no doubt about that. And if he would have spent, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, however long laying there on the ice, it would have only taken more energy out. So, I mean, as long as, his health isn't compromised, it was the right thing. Get off the ice. And listen, everyone's dogging Matt Tkachuk. He came straight off the bench and targeted Jack Eichel. Eichel had the puck. Stop it. Just stop it right there. Yeah. Eichel looks like he toe picked just caught it. Whatever it was, Eichel was going straight down, and Matt Tkachuk did his job on that play. We can say whatever we want about Matt Tkachuk. We are not going to say anything negative about Matt Tkachuk on that play, besides the fact that he hit Jack Eichel, but that's his job. He's supposed to do that, and any player would do the same thing, including Jack Eichel, if Matt Tkachuk was the one that was on his way going down to the ice.
This was pond hockey, as Robin Leonard might have termed it, and it was also a man's game.
It was bad beer league hockey.
It was beer league hockey at the very finest. And VGK chasing Sergei Bobrovsky. Now, again, coming into the series, Chris, we did mention that he got off to a really rocky start in the Boston series. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he could come back in this series.
I was concerned. When we talked about it.
Right, because he gave up a bundle of goals early on. And then last night, he gives up goals on 3 consecutive VGK shots.
Well, I know it was that. Wow.
Yeah, and they took away his eyes again. He's getting screened, and I think 2 or 3 of his goals that he gave up, his own players were screening him in front of the net. Again, and then the scouting, beaten top shelf again last night, especially the Alec Martinez goal. Hey, just shoot high.
Marchessault too. He sniped him.
And Marchessault, of course, yes. Unbelievable, the scouting job. You have to give some credit to Sean Burke in what they have done there in scouting the opposition's goalie too.
So this is this brings me back. So I covered the USA versus Canada women's game at the Dollar Loan Center. I had the pleasure of interviewing Sarah Nurse, also Darnell Nurse's cousin, same family, after the game. And Sarah scored a goal from basically almost like in the corner. She was at the goal line, just threw it to the nets. So the first thing I said to her in the presser, I says, hey, you just put the puck on the net and good things seem to happen. Wasn't sure what to expect. And she said, yeah, that's actually something that we work on. I said, so you're telling me that this was a set play. You purposely threw the puck to the center low like that. And she says, yeah, this is where our goalie coach actually scouts things like that and tells us, possible, whether it's reminds them of high danger opportunities they can create or simply soft spots they can find in a goalie. So, I think a lot of people think the goalie coach, their job is only to help their goalie, the goalie on the team they represent. And that's not the case. They're an integral part of trying to pick apart and provide intel, if you will, on how to beat the opposition. And we heard Cassidy mention that there was a presentation on Bobrovsky the morning of game 1, I believe, or the day before. But either way, it happened right around game 1. And that was a good PowerPoint, it seems like. It was definitely a good PowerPoint. Vegas has scored now a total of, like you said, 12 goals to the Florida Panthers 4. And I think we've gotten behind Bobrovsky 10 of those goals, if I'm not mistaken, or 9 of those goals. It was 4 and then 4, 8 goals. We've gotten 8 goals behind Bobrovsky right now. So it's crazy.
And then another one of the key highlights in this game, when you look back at game number 2, and there's been so many highlights actually out of the first couple of games. It's going to make quite a highlight reel at the end of this series, especially if VGK goes on to win. But I think it's a better skills competition maybe moving forward when we get the All-Star game here, rather than having Mark Stone hitting a puck into Lake Bellagio, whatever the heck that was. I think you have to, work on some sort of a skills competition where you have like a Mark Stone, right? You break the twig, You go and you smash Montour, you grab an extra stick from the bench, you skate up ice, and then you get the puck and you feed it to Howden, who finishes the play. That was stinking spectacular. That was amazing.
So you have to start by one of my favorite plays in sports is the equipment manager assist in hockey, obviously. So what happens, player breaks a stick, they go to the bench, and then they come down, they score a goal right away. And when that happens, it doesn't happen very often, but there's video of when that does happen, the team on the bench mobs the assistant, mobs the equipment manager, whoever job it is to provide the sticks over the boards when that happens.
That was quick.
So basically, you had the primary assist, if you will, to the equipment manager and getting Mark Stone the sticks so he can do that. I mean, listen, that's just a testament of who he is, and you don't stop playing. And I mean, he's our captain for a reason. And if that play right there does not emulate leadership, then I don't know what does. Now, speaking of leadership, sometime we got to hit Paul Maurice here. I said after the first period that, this is something I mentioned yesterday's show too, Tony. You do what your leader tells you to do. You follow the examples that they set, whether it's a coach, whether it's a job, whether, it's your manager or director somewhere on the Las Vegas Strip. And Paul Maurice, so calmly after the game 1 press conference, everyone just effing relax. Okay, I'm relaxed. Cool. I'm relaxed. And then after Marchessault got lit the F up, call it what it is, in the first period when he gets elbowed in the head by not one, but 2 Florida Panthers, you see Paul Maurice just make a beeline to the bench, and dude is flipping out and just going bonkers.
Yeah.
And you watch that replay, like, what is he so mad about? And you can't, another one of my tweets was, are you telling me right now Paul Maurice is in the locker room? Okay, guys, stay calm. We got this. Here's how we're going to get back in this game. Everybody take a deep breath. No, he's out there going bonkers. He's kicking dogs and cats and Florida Panthers everywhere. And the dude's just going bonkers. And the team is unhinged right now. The team is unhinged. And this is a testament to Bruce Cassidy staying calm, keeping the team poised. Will Carrier took kind of a bad penalty last night. The game was out of hand. Who cares? But outside of that, VGK has been extremely poised, where the Panthers have not. And you're going to tell me now, when they go down to Florida and have 15,000 fans screaming for the Panthers, are you going to tell me they're going to have more poise? No, they're going to come out even more physical, not even desperate, just a more physical game. And I see more of the same happening in games 3 and 4.
Yeah, and Cassidy, a happy camper, and at the second intermission, he already started packing his shorts for Florida South.
No sunscreen, though. No sunscreen.
South Beach, Bruce.
No sunscreen.
As he has done all season long, Bruce Cassidy praised his team's depth last night and doesn't believe that any team could match up with VGK 1 through 19 each and every night.
The criminal plan.
We will talk about the Golden Knights' depth and how it has affected the first couple of games of the series and the big role it played on Monday night, right after this on Locked On Golden Knights. For a championship team, it's all about making sure that every player is a perfect fit, and our man Chris Golick is always singing on pitch with the sing-alongs in the crowd. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part just needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure that every part you need fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know that your part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game. And it doesn't stop there. Just go to eBay Motors and check out over 122 million parts to choose from. You'll be back in the game in no time at all. And after all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Don't forget, each and every Friday, it's WTF, What the Friday. And of course, at that point, VGK could be leading the series 3-0 and looking to close things out on Saturday. Chris, I did want to talk about something that came across our timelines. and that was from Samantha Rivera. A fan got out of control. She was doing a stand-up report, a live report back to Miami, and a fan gets in there, jumps into the frame. Nice Desmond Howard-like stiff arm, the Heisman. She stiff armed the guy, but this fan, this hooligan, who definitely had too much to drink there, should be tossed from the rest of the series. Come on, man.
Stop it.
That's not cool. That wasn't cool.
I'm not saying it's not cool, but we're not going to 86 someone for being a drunken goofball at a hockey game. And listen, it was a great stiff arm. She did a great job of keeping her poise while playing a good physical game and not getting in the box. I mean, maybe she should be behind the bench instead of Paul Maurice, because she's got a lot more poise. She kept her cool on Twitter. She didn't necessarily call Vegas a bunch of idiots or anything like that. She handled herself well. So I think she should be the one in between the first and second intermission, telling the team just to F and breathe.
Okay, here are some statistics. We want to talk about depth. And I don't know if that Miami TV station had any depth here, but VGK definitely has some depth. Last night, there were, and through the first couple of games, 9 VGK players have scored goals, and that is a Stanley Cup record through the first 2 games. Last night, they scored 4 goals on 13 shots, including 3 straight, the Golden Knights. And then last night as well, Chris, 13 players had a goal or an assist. And for VGK, it just all points back to their depth. And last night, we saw where the Florida Panthers had some issues. Because Radko Gudas was injured already before he even stepped on the ice, and they went with the 11-7 alignment. But VGK definitely is dominating there in the department of depth, and each and every night, as I mentioned, coming into the break, Cassidy says 1 through 19, we could outmatch any team in the National Hockey League.
Without Gudas on the ice, it's a different team. Only 2 minutes and 11 seconds of ice time last night. They knew something was going to be up there, and I think Paul Maurice wanted to see how long he could go and get whatever he could out of him. I like him. I think he's actually a classy dude, given his on ice persona, if you will, and I hope he can make it back because as weird as this sounds, Vegas fans, he's a guy that I root for. I like him. I like talking to him. I do like his game, and you don't want anyone injured at this stage. You want best on best, and I wish him well. And I hope he can get back on the ice for games 3 and beyond, and so we can have just a good level best on best type of series. But he definitely, when he's not in the lineup, it takes a lot of the momentum away. Not so much that, but it's kind of like, I think it's kind of not having Mark Stone on the bench as far as just that vocal leader, keeping everyone engaged and stuff like that. Back to the depth. Yeah. I mean, we talked about this a lot leading up to the series. We had plenty of shows, obviously, to tear the series apart before it even started due to the long break. And I felt the bottom 6, and it's arguable who even the bottom 6 is right now based on the minutes played for Vegas. But point being is our lines 3 and 4 versus really the lines 2, 3, and 4, if you will, now for the Florida Panthers. Vegas has that edge. And the thing is, the top players are scoring. Marchessault's already got 4 goals. Or did he score 2 in the game 1 or whatever it was? Marchessault's scoring. Eichel is getting assists left and right now. So the top line is scoring. The top lines are scoring, but the depth lines are doing it too. And, you even look on the defensive side, Zach Whitecloud and Nick Hague as your third defensive pairing. That is by itself possibly the biggest edge in this series for the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm curious what Paul Maurice, and this will probably be a topic for tomorrow, but I'm curious what Paul Maurice is going to dial up. You got Gudas injured. You have Tkachuk completely unhinged right now. He's got over about 40 penalty minutes in 2 games, has yet to play in the last 5 minutes of one of these games. Paul Maurice, we're really going to see what he's made of right now, I guess, is the easiest way I can say that, because he's going to need to do something. And what Vegas has lost how many games on the road? Is it just they lost 1 game
2?
In the Edmonton series, 1 game in the Dallas series.
2.
They've lost 2 games on the road, so everyone's talking about
and they've won like 32 total games, 33 games this entire season.
Just gotta get one. We gotta win one. We gotta win once on Thursday or Saturday. It's all you gotta do.
It would be nice for VGK to come back home if they do go on to win this series and wrap it up here. I know you're getting chills. I know it's awesome. No, it's great for fans like you. It's really, I mean, that's like to me, that's the best part of watching this run is the fans. And I know you've been a season ticket holder from day one, with this club. So it's really exciting.
I got the check
for
stubs to
folks
prove
like
it.
you. Yeah. And VGK had its 11th third goal period in the third last night, 11 in the playoffs. Again, we've talked so much about whether or not this team would show up come playoff time and continue to score consistently. Okay, question for you. The second Marchessault goal. We saw Florida had just 4 players on the ice, and I think 3 of them went to Jack Eichel. Is this considered a power play goal?
No. No, but I honestly didn't see what happened as far as how that happened. I mean, listen, Paul Maurice, he's got to figure it out. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Control your bench, control the situation, and he needs to just effing breathe a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah, and for Marchessault, 9 goals in his last 9 games. He's really come on as that consistent scorer. And Al Powers, a local photographer who does cover VGK, had an interesting stat earlier this morning that he tweeted out with just all the plus minuses of that top line for VGK. I mean, it's just outstanding. And I had to, I'm looking it up right now.
Me too.
And again, okay, he goes, wow, how about these plus minus stats? Eichel, Barbashev, Marchessault, plus 16, plus 12, plus 13 in the playoffs.
Yeah, so it's nuts. I mean,
isn't that crazy?
Those
everyday
numbers are
just
players, starting at Nick Waugh, who's been on line 4-ish, plus 2. Stevenson, plus 3. Mark Stone's only a plus 5. I say only because you go up to that top line of Marchessault, Eichel, and Barbashev. I mean, 16, 13, 13. Nick Hague as a third pairing defenseman is a plus 10. That's the one that gets me. And White Cloud as well. We talked about White Cloud, how good of a season he had despite all the injuries last year for the Vegas Golden Knights. And Barbashev was the best player on the ice last night.
They've got to re-sign him. They have to re-sign him. He just does so many good things for
Barbashev or Aiden Hill. Who are you re-signing, Tony? Only one stand.
Well, I know. No.
Only one stand.
I'm going to figure a way to do some shenanigans there with the salary cap, and I'll definitely figure it out.
All right, folks, here's a take. You ready? Aiden Hill will not be a Golden Knight next year.
Come on. Okay, on one of
I'm not saying I don't want Aiden Hill to be a Golden Knight next year. Let's be clear.
On one of our shows, but you also said Logan Thompson was going to get traded before the season.
Yeah, they were going to use William Karlsson as trade bait too. I said that also. That didn't work out either.
Well, we were hoping. But hoping. I think one of our postseason shows has to be ranking the goaltenders coming into next season. And I think that would be that's going to be a fun episode to do, because who stays, who goes, who stays on the snake farm, all that stuff.
I don't think Aiden Hill stays next season, folks. I'm sorry.
VGK also scored 7 goals in a row in this series. Again, just eye-popping numbers, and hopefully this continues as they head to Florida.
It's only a 2-game lead. All these numbers are cool. It's awesome, but now we're in cliche time, Tony. We're in cliche time. You're not in trouble.
Is it winning time yet?
What's that?
Is it winning time yet?
I hope so, but it's still, Florida still is alive in the cliche pool. You're not in trouble until you lose a game at home, and that's an important thing to mention. I'll counter that with VGK being, what do we say, 10-2 on the road in the playoffs or something like that. Whatever the stat line is, 6-2, 8-2, whatever it is, I don't care. That's what stands out to me. And can Florida protect their jungle or pet farm or pet land, or whatever they call their arena down there?
Okay, VGK in Florida, they are off until Thursday. That's when Game 3 takes place. South Beach Bruce can get in a full tanning day there in South Florida. But will the tempers cool down for game number 3? We'll get into that and much, much more when we return. Okay, that's our entire. All right, that's
there. It is.
Segment.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
And coming up next, again, we'll talk about whether or not the temperatures continue to rise. Right after this on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Thank you so much for all of those really nice and kind comments. And we definitely appreciate that from all of you out there. And we like to engage with the fans as well. It's been a ton of fun. And you can find us on Twitter at Locked On VGK, at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G, and go to the YouTube channel and subscribe there. That thing is just absolutely blowing up. You had a little exchange, I think, with one of the friendly fans from Florida, didn't you?
I mean, listen, we had this clown just chirping left and right, and that's fine. Like, I want you to chirp, and I'm going to give it back to you. And if you're able, if your team is able to do better than my team, chirp me back, and I'll gladly take it just the way I'm going to give it. But Jeffrey Berry, be afraid. This is before game one. Let's see. What the heck are you talking about? Being down a record-breaking Boston 3-1 is more pressure than Vegas ever felt. Panthers are undefeated in 6 overtime games. You got to get to overtime first. Panthers are undefeated in 6 overtime games, not to mention a 4 overtime game. I think the pressure, you guys are clueless about the Florida Panthers on an 11-1 win streak. You will all learn very soon. Be afraid. Be very afraid. I'm afraid the Goal Knights aren't going to win this thing at home, Jeff Berry. You're right. I'm afraid.
You really do think that VGK should sweep? Because you said that could have been the last game at the Fortress last night.
I said there's a chance, absolutely. And I made sure to tell Chris a bunch of times, just in case this is the last time we're at T-Mobile this season, take a look around as we're walking out. Watch everyone walking down the stairs, get these memories in your head, because it could be the last time. And I hope it is. I don't think it's going to be. I think Florida's going to win one of these games. You got to assume they're going to figure out a way to do that. But just in case, I'm trying to keep grounded in the moment. I did the same thing when the Vegas lost to the Montreal Canadiens in the conference final to go down 3-2. I said the same thing. Chris, this could be the last time we're walking out these doors. Just take a look around, try and enjoy it for a second, because this is what's going to be in your head for the next 3 or 4 months, if depending on how it all works out.
Last night, there was again penalty minutes, a deciding factor, perhaps. Just gets out of control. All of those players that were run at the end. 84 minutes for Florida, 64 for the VGK, 148 total penalty minutes. Is Florida at some point going to settle down and stay out of the box in game 3? And I have to ask that. And this is an honest question, Chris, because I went back to the box scores from the last series against the Hurricanes, and it was 10 minutes, Florida's penalty minutes, 10, 6, 8, and 12. So
that was on a per game breakdown. How many penalty minutes they got?
Yeah, 36 total in a 4-game series. That was it.
Oh, they do that.
I mean, so can this team settle? Can they settle? Yeah, they had 36, I think, in the first period, definitely in the third period.
So the Florida Panthers last night almost more than doubled their complete penalty minute output in the last series.
Yes.
Listen, as when I ref the beer league games, guys, I see this. This is very similar to what I'm seeing, and maybe this isn't fair to the Panthers and their fans, but I'll say it anyway. You have one team who, they're probably they're going to be the league champions. You have one team that's, they're going to be the last place in that league, and the game starts. The game is kind of close, maybe for 3 or 4 minutes, and then the better team scores a goal or two. And then the losing team just gets pissed off that it's happening and they can't keep up, and they're taking penalties. They're not even trying to play dirty. They're just trying to keep up, and, they start committing penalties and stuff. Then the game just gets completely away from them. That is exactly what has happened through the first 2 games. I'm not saying Florida is not a worthy opponent. I'm not saying anything negative about Florida's path to get here. Besides Toronto, Toronto's a layup. Toronto doesn't count. That's a layup for any team. But Boston, Carolina, give them all the credit in the world for beating them, especially Boston. Now, for whatever reason, once they get to the Cup final, I mean, Vegas is a great team. Vegas has earned all the respect, whether people want to acknowledge it. Vegas has earned all the respect, as they are 2 games away from, even if Vegas fades and loses the next 4, Vegas has earned respect. It's been a remarkable year, win, lose, or draw at this point. But the Florida Panthers through 2 games have not even been close to their best. And, I thought they were decent in game 1, but they became unhinged, obviously, in the third period. And then this game. So I don't know, you mentioned earlier, when they go back home, are they going to have the poise? Are they going to stay calm and keep, all of that stuff? No, definitely not. They're definitely not going to be poised at home. How would you think they're going to be poised at home with all those fans cheering for them? They're going to want to get the crowd on their feet. They're going to want to get crazy. And we'll see what happens.
Bruce Cassidy, following game number 2, said he called it a man's game. And he also said, if you have to take a punch to the face, so be it.
Yep.
I love this guy.
He also said you're playing. This was a shot. You're playing the most penalized team in the playoffs. You're going to get your opportunities. He's taking a shot there. He's using some verbal warfare to, put on the bulletin board for the Florida Panthers or Paul Maurice, whatever. I mean, to a degree, there are people paying attention to these pressers, and the two clubs are talking. They're not talking to the media. They're not talking to the fans. They're using the media to talk to each other. And someone on the Florida Panthers is watching this. They're like, okay, they got us there.
Okay, and Aiden Hill, you said last night, getting the loudest ovation, perhaps even louder than that of Marc-Andre Fleury when he was here.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. You really haven't heard a lot of Hill chants and Aiden chants, and you had 4 individuals that probably paid $6-7K a ticket right behind Aiden Hill last night. White T-shirts, spelled out Hill, and credit them for getting the spelling right and sitting in the right chairs. I've seen that go worse for some other fans in the past, but they won the first grade spelling bee by that, so good job. And it was nice to see the very first big save of the game, that Verhaeghe breakaway right away. The camera got him, and it was pretty cool. And he right now is, if there's one player you're going to say, would we be here with, if it wasn't for the play of insert blank here, would the Vegas Golden Knights be here? And I think Hill is the answer. And that's not a knock on Brossoit. Brossoit earned the net. He was playing wonderful. And I don't know if the fate would have been any different if Brossoit was a starting goalie. That's an interesting topic possibly for the offseason. But Hill has checked every single box. And he's going to be checking a lot of boxes in his bank account, because that's about to get pretty big in about the next probably 24 days, and when July 1st starts.
93% of the time, the team that wins the first 2 games wins the Stanley Cup.
12 years, Vancouver, right, was the last time that team was up 2-0 to the Bruins.
I mean, you'd like to see VGK come back here and win a cup, right?
That's why Chris keeps saying. That's why little Chris keeps calling Florida to win a game right now. He wants it, and so do I. But let's win the cup first. In a perfect world, the perfect world is lose on Thursday, win on Saturday. I don't want to go Saturday with them up 3-0, kind of in the back of my head hoping the team loses. But let's just win the cup wherever it happens. If it can happen at home, obviously that would be that'd be good to erase the memory of Obi carrying the cup off T-Mobile Ice.
Coming up on tomorrow's show, we will have Bruce Cassidy giving us some tanning tips in South Beach, and much, much more on the way. We'll see what happens today, and we'll see how things unfold there as VGK gets set to travel for games 3 and 4. And last night I tweeted out, if this game continues like the way it's going, it's a man's game. Game number 3 would be played in Sunrise Hospital, not Sunrise, Florida.
Oh, I got a weather report. You said the temperature. Hold on, this is a terrible time for this, but I searched it. So you said the temperature rising. 84 today, 87 humidity, on Wednesday. Humidity, probably 106. Yeah. 67 today. Thursday 88, Friday 88, Saturday 89. So yes, the temperature will be rising in Sunrise, Florida. Bam.
And we'll, of course, keep you up to date on any of the latest developments. Follow us on Twitter for any of the latest news. One rat thrown on the ice last night.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Actually, and then he hits to the VGK bench, like, yeah, good job, good Chuck. Oh, you sent a message. Hit the rat to the VGK bench. Yeah, that's going to prove a point. Get out of here, idiot.
We'd like to thank our everydayers, folks that tune in each and every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. For my man, Chris Golick, we thank you all for tuning in. I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. See you again tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.